So here we are with Jean-Louis Rodrigue.
Hello.
Hello, nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. We're here to talk about manly men in Hollywood, right? And where they've gone. And many women and men and directors and producers are wondering, where the men are, and you're somewhat of an expert on this. You teach at UCLA.
Correct.
You teach the Alexander Technique.
I do.
Do you want to explain what that is just for a moment?
Sure. Well, the way that I teach the Alexander Technique, it's a way of learning how to use one's body and one's energy to create characters. So the way that I teach it is to allow actors to be more malleable and more truthful while they're morphing into a character. So when you're using live material like paint, the human condition, to create a character, then you do become an expert in terms of figuring what is it that shapes character and identity. So when you asked about what is masculinity today, it's a fascinating issue in terms of how men see themselves in the world, you see, and what kind of characters are being written.
Do you think that the definition of masculinity today has changed from what it used to be?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it corresponds to also what's happening in the world today, in our society. I think men are going through a transformation, and that's due because of economy, the labor market. It's also due to education and how men are viewed in society today, and also that women and men are becoming much more equal, and that there is a cross exchange of work. So sometimes the wife goes to work and the husband stays home. I know so many men that are home with the kids because they can't get a job. But the housewife, the woman is working. So there's a transference in the roles, And I believe very much that that's happening in the writers. The new writers are writing stories that reflect the world that we live in today, very much so.
So what we're seeing on screen is a result of how things are changing at home. People are experiencing a different, cultural paradigm, so when they go to write their screenplay,
yes,
they find the stories are just different, and it requires a different kind of man or a different kind of woman.
Absolutely. I will also, later on, I will speak about even the superheroes or the action men who are supposed to be traditionally very, very masculine and very dominant.
Right.
Even those characters are beginning to transform in radical ways, which I'll speak to later. But yes, these are some of the influences. I teach at UCLA, and all the young men that I work with, they're definitely softer. They're definitely more in touch with their feelings. They do not dominate. They, in fact, they aim to communicate and actually are willing to work with women on an equal basis. But also men, when they come out of university, are a bit lost because they have less direction and force. So what happens is that there's no work for them. They spend 4 years at UCLA, and they can't find work. So that does something to their self-image. And I believe also they are more confused in terms of what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to go and get a family? In the past, most men would go to work.
The direction isn't very clear anymore, is it?
Yes, no. Very much the role of the men today is very different. Even 20 years ago. I mean, it's really changing at a very, very quickly.